Ancient ceramic art of Rishtan. Ceramic artist from Taldykorgan. Contemporary interpretations of traditional applied art. The ancient city of Rishtan in the Fergana Valley has always been famous for artists of glazed pottery. One of them still lives here, 77-year-old Sharafuddin Yusupov, a ceramic artist in the 7th generation, UNESCO diploma winner. His works are presented in the Hermitage and the Russian Museum of Ethnography. He claims that his family tree included the Rishtan ceramists of the 18th century. The tradition of Usto Shogurt was very developed in Rishtan. Usto Shogurt is a master and a student. In our mahala, in our quarter in the post-war years, there were very few of us. Of these 10-15 people, only 2 ceramists are still living now. Well, maybe 3. I am now the only person in my generation who works and is engaged in ceramics to this day. This is my student, son of my usto. Very talented. Engaged in modern ceramics, but inspired by classics. He's the only person who makes modern ceramics with the spirit of classics. His dad was a student of my father, and over time, I became his student. The father of my student was my teacher. I tell my customers to eat from this lyagan dish. Wash after that, to hang it on the wall so it will please the eye. Because the more you see my ceramics, the more its colors blend and it looks nicer. The difference between modern ceramics and classics is in this. Modern ceramics, of course, it will hang on the wall nicely, but if it is used, it fades slightly. But this made with a vegetative glaze, it gets better. During use, it absorbs the oil. It has invisible cracks. They absorb oil and water. And then the background itself becomes softer and more beautiful. I try to preserve what has remained from our ancestors. Ancestors left us such wealth, and I want to leave at least some part of it to my children, my fans, to the museums, to some private collections. Almost the entire family helps Paganini from Rishtan, as he called by art historians, to make exquisite ceramic dishes. With his wife, they have been together for half a century. They have raised 4 children, now happy with their grandchildren. First, a test baking is done to evaluate the colors. They always consult with me. For the sample, small strokes of different colors are made. I love all colors. Here is yellow, here is red, here is carmine. I married a potter and became a potter. My husband used to work at a ceramic factory, and I also found a job there. Always helped him in choosing colors. Grandchildren continue our business. I watch them, I control them. If someone goes anywhere, I ask where he's going. I always say, do it. And sons love ceramics. For example, Firdavs is always with his father in the workshop since the age of 7. Here is his son decorating a jug. When I have a new idea, I just draw, look from different sides, and I think what I could add, how to combine colors. In time, I think I will become a professional potter. I do not want to do anything else. One of the most ancient cities of the Fergana Valley, Rishtan, was mentioned in historical chronicles dated 2,000 years ago. Local residents have been engaged in pottery from time immemorial. Even the name of the city, according to one of the versions, is formed from the ancient Sogdian word rush, red earth, by the name of the local pottery clay Haki Sorkh, which had reddish color. Sharafiddin Yusupov believes that ancient art will not end with him and the keepers of an amazing traditions.
В Риштане такой керамики, я думаю, это первое зависит от земли, от риштанской земли.
Why Rishtan has such ceramics? I think, first of all, because of the land, the Rishtan land, because it's a very good land. In other regions, artists use additives, but we just take clay out of the quarry. We wet it, and it's ready. We do not need to add anything. Therefore, Rishtan clay is very famous. It is famous all over the world, from America to Chukotka. Now we are in a quarry.
Нет такого уголка, где не было риштанской керамики. Начиная из Америки до...
When a ceramic plant was built in Rishtan, we were given such a site. There was a site for a brick factory and for ceramists. We took land from there. And before the factory, before the union, every ceramist had a site where he took clay from.
Кирпичный завод, и вот это просто для керамистов. Мы оттуда землю брали.
Because in Rishtan, in a radius of 3 to 4 kilometers, you can dig anywhere and take that clay that can be used for ceramics.
У каждого мастера был свой участок. Он оттуда землю брал.
There is enough earth for our century. You just need to know how to use it. It is such wealth.
Месте можно копать, оттуда брать та глину, которую можно было использовать.
Sometimes we do not feel it, and when we have a lot of land, we sometimes think, yee-hoo! But still, we need to save this land for descendants.
Да, это такое богатство. Иногда мы не чувствуем, когда у нас много земли, вроде мы думаем.
But I think in Rishtan they will be engaged in ceramics for 1,000 more years, and there will be enough earth for them.
Ну, я думаю, что в Риштане еще 1000 лет будут заниматься керамикой, и на них земли хватит.
Well, Malika, what are you doing? Making leaves. Ah, it's for apples, as I understand. Yes, good. You also made 2 hemispheres to glue together. Well, then spread the glue and attach them to each other. It is necessary to put more glue, so it will be tightly glued. Here, stick it yourself. Excellent. Malika makes an apple from 2 hemispheres. On the side there will be a twig. Malika will do it on her own, and she will stick it herself. If this is not done, it will fall apart after drying. Right, Malika? I asked my mother to sign me up for the club. I make different figures. It is very interesting. Before that, we made a fir tree, a snowman, a jug. Parents were so happy when I brought my first crafts. I immediately had a desire to continue and the certainty that I could succeed. I really like our teacher Yerkinbek Ahai. He explains everything in great detail and calmly. He's kind and responsive. Oh, it turned out well. What kind of apples is that? A port? Yes. Well, then it's good. You can get ready to go home. Malika was the only one today because this is an additional lesson. Goodbye. Let's go to the workshop. I devote my free time to creativity. Our designers have made the entrance of the workshop in the form of a clay jug. Come inside. This is my workshop. For the 5th year, I have been working in the palace of school children. I'm a teacher of additional classes. I teach children ceramics and sculpture. I spend my free time here. This is one of my first works. Animal image. And this is Rishtan Kemper, Step Old Witch. With students, we create images of fairy tale characters, and this is Cash Pot. I want to say that the half of work here is still unfinished, and this pot is already painted, twice baked in the oven. Here's one more finished work. I painted flowers on a jug and attached a crocodile figure. But he looks more like a lizard. And now I will make another similar jug. Let's take a little clay. I cook clay for modeling by myself. I clean it, knead. I remove the moisture, and thus we remove air from the clay. Jibek Yasimov inherits the ancient Kazakh tradition of pottery, which was spread in the southern regions of medieval Kazakhstan. He comes from Taldykorgan, and as he says, the nature of those places from early years has awakened a love of the art and artistic fantasy in him, which he, in his turn, tries to pass to his children. If you dig in the history of sculpture in Kazakhstan, the first clay products are from the 8th, 10th centuries. Many samples of ancient ceramics have been found in Otrar. Archaeologists find even a clay sewer pipe, but mostly utensils were made from the clay. And so far, this kind of art has survived. I try to work in different genres. Sometimes I turn to abstraction. I do not want all creations to be similar to each other. In this, I am very demanding of myself. Somehow an unusual jug was made. Before I did not make such large vessels. This is a complicated jug. It consists of 4 parts. What's good in clay? When it is wet, it allows you to put together different elements with each other. Here I added a bull and a ram's head to the composition, and here's the ornament. It is necessary to lay clay in the very center. We add some water to it. First, you need to find the center. This is the hardest thing for beginners. If you do not heat clay, it will not work. Now in the middle, we'll make a hole. Thus, it is necessary to stop at a distance of 1 centimeter from the bottom. By slightly pressing inside and out, we pull the cylinder up. It is necessary to do all this very slowly, because of one mistake, the jug pitcher can be ruined. So it is necessary to try hard. Now we will collect the clay from the lower part. We will shift it upwards. Thus the jug will lengthen. Now we will work on the neck. We press and release. We level the bottom with a wooden knife. Well, the jar is almost ready. We need a strong thread. We wind it on the thumbs. You need to wet the thread and you can cut the bottom of the jug. And carefully transfer. The next stage is the production of a figure of a semi-fantastic animal. Now we will sculpt the crocodile. First we make a cake, and we flatten it. The form should always be hollow. To keep the figure in shape, we will fill it with crumpled paper. Anyway, during the baking at a temperature of up to 1,000 degrees, all paper will burn, but it will allow to keep the form. Now let's make the head. It happens that the figure cracks during sculpting. We add a little clay and cover it. To finish it all, we need 3 to 4 hours more. Sometimes we need to spend the whole day. So for the demonstration, I'll take another prepared piece. Now we'll put the raw piece in the oven. The process will last 8 hours. And cool the whole day. We will not wait for the end of baking, but we will take ready-made jug to show how to decorate ceramics, which patterns we apply. We need water and glaze paints. This is the red glaze. We must try to apply a thicker layer of paint. If applied thinly, it can burn with the second baking. Here we can depict natural landscapes, a variety of flowers, or abstract ornaments. Here is a musician in national clothes playing a kobes. Good items are made from clay to decorate the home interior of the house. You can do whatever you want, it all depends on your imagination. Before baking again, we cover it with the glaze. Level the bottom. When the jug is baked in the oven at a temperature above 1000 degrees, the glaze melts and the jug becomes unusually beautiful. Here, by the way, you can pour water, use it in everyday life. This is a ready-made jug. Our crocodile seems to be looking for something. He's obviously interested in what's inside. Maybe he's hungry and looking for something to eat. The tradition of ancient Kazakh pottery art is alive, and most importantly, it is passed on to the younger generation. However, Yerkinbek Yasimov does not only work on ceramics, but also paints, original and memorable. Here, for example, this picture is called Morning. The girl wakes up early in the morning and looks out the window. And there's the usual life of the yard before dawn. A horse with a rooster, in my opinion, enlivens the picture a little. Modern fashion is very capricious. Everybody knows this firsthand. But the residents of Kyrgyzstan in recent years have paid attention to the traditional garment as chapan. At the same time, the pieces of Kyrgyz designers are popular at the most prestigious fashion shows in Paris and Milan. These chapans that you see, I did for the first time at the request of my mother for her 80th birthday. She used to make national clothes and did not want to wear what we bought her for the Jubilee. She always told me that she had taught me how to sew chapans, and I don't do it. Therefore, to please my mother, I sewed my first chapan. That's how such design and generally the idea of producing traditional clothes in a new style came up. Chapan is a traditional clothes not only for the Kyrgyz, but perhaps for almost all the peoples of Central Asia. In each country, it has its own characteristics, but the common feature of all models is practicality, because it was the most important item of the wardrobe of nomadic peoples. In the studio of Zhumagul Sariyeva, all chapans are handmade, even for the youngest fashionistas. Back in days, even newborn children were given such clothes, so the baby had a well-heeled navel. It is called opko cup, warm bag. It protected a small child in the mountainous terrain from winds and cold weather. But if we talk about the decoration, when the elders came to see the newborn, the Aksakals, male elders, tore off their buttons and gave the mother of the child. These buttons were sewn to the baby's chapan as a talisman to protect them from the evil eye. Therefore, we too are adhering to the tradition of decorating chapan with such small buttons. And for girls, we have vests in different colors. All of them are sewn specially for school children. This is a male chapan. It is great for wearing it to work. Today, these things are worn not only for events, but also in everyday life. Modern fashion dictates its rules. If you do not follow them, then the life of chapan in the modern world will not be long. I come up with new models all the time so that our society accepts it. When I started to study, I thought a lot about design, appearance. Taking into account the realities of the modern world and the needs of today's generation, we eventually create fashionable chapans. Chapan Studio also received the international recognition. Its founder does not hide her pride for her business. I presented the very first chapan to the public in the form of a collection. Everybody liked the idea. We won the Grand Prix. After that, there was a fashion week. There too, we became Grand Prix winners and got a ticket to Berlin. And there we were received very well. Later we participated in the Russian contest Fashion of Russia and won there too. In Russia, we met with Vyacheslav Zaitsev and received his highest reward. After that, there were a lot of victories. As you can see, photos hang here on the wall. They show the samples from the collection with which we went to France. There, we participated in fashion shows. In many countries, we received very good feedback. Last year, Italian designers were interested in our chapans when we were in Berlin. In their opinion, our things would look very harmonious in combination with Italian accessories. Recently, when we were in Germany, designers praised our chapans, highly appreciated the quality of the fabrics, and highlighted the uniqueness of the models. The trip to Milan with a new collection is ahead. The designer believes that the rich color scale, which is presented in the very nature of Kyrgyzstan, helps it to create unusual models of the traditional chapan, and has been accompanying her since childhood. Only young people work in my team. I believe that for them, I'm a guide between the past and the present, since I saw how our grandmothers are doing traditional chapans, how our grandfathers wore them, and our younger generation has grown up in a different world. That's why I want to pass on my knowledge to young people so that they will later teach the future generation. I can say that I have the most talented young people to gain experience. The tradition of patchwork quilts originates in the depths of centuries and probably appeared because of the practicality. In written sources, the term referring to the technique of its production is first given in the collection of Turkic words by Mahmud al-Kashgari.
Курак вообще происходит от казахского слова «курал».
Kurak comes from the Kazakh word kural, which means to combine, connect something from various pieces.
Непременным атрибутом в казахском
An indispensable attribute of the jazal, dowry of the Kazakh bride, is a patchwork quilt.
должно было быть одно лоскутное одеяло. Сама техника.
The Kurak technique itself has a deep history from the time of the early nomads. At the beginning of the technique, the Kurak appeared with the stitching of colored felt.
Появилось сшивание цветного войлока. Традиции казахского курака живы по сегодняшнему.
The traditions of the Kazakh Kurak are still alive today. Many designers use the motifs of the Kazakh Kurak in their collections.
В коллекции талантливого дизайнера.
For example, in the collection of talented designer Aizada, our student, she uses the motif of the Kazakh Kurak in a modern interpretation.
Вообще, я вдохновилась своей бабушкой.
In general, I was inspired by my grandmother. Our grandmother used to sew a dowry for all our girls at home, and I saw that the grandmother uses her method.
Использует этот метод. Мою бабушку зовут Зарипа, и бабушка...
My grandmother's name is Zagipa, and my grandmother used mostly she kurak, and this kurak is used as a wave. I see a wave, a wind, freedom in it. I wanted this pattern to come alive in clothes.
Именно этот узор ожил в одежде. Свою коллекцию я назвала...
I called my collection The Winds of Sariarka.
Коллекция у меня, она очень получилась удачная.
This collection was very successful. With this collection, I participated in many international contests of young designers and won prizes.
Занимала очень достойные места. Когда мы одеваем одежду, мы перевоплощаемся.
When we wear clothes, we reincarnate.
Именно национальную.
I want people to wear my clothes as national, so that they understand that they are Kazakhs, that they have a very deep meaning.
Смысл в том, что
The point is that this wave, the national pattern, could protect women.
мог оберегать женщину. Сейчас молодежь
Now young people are more accentuated to wear national clothes.
одевает национальную одежду.
The young designer hopes that after the first collection she will have other, no less original and clothes with a national color in her interpretation will not only help preserve grandmother's art, but will become truly popular both in the country and beyond its borders.